What if I told you Africa had advanced civilizations, universities, and international trade before Europe even discovered the compass? They told us Africa had no history, that it was a land of darkness waiting to be civilized. But history tells a different story. Before colonialism, Africa had empires richer than Europe, armies that fought off invaders, and scholars that studied the stars. This is the real story of Africa before colonialism. And trust me, what you're about to hear will blow your mind. Let's travel back in time. Far before the Berlin Conference, before colonizers, before maps were redrawn, ancient Egypt, c. 3100 BCE to 30 BCE, Africa's most famous civilization. They built pyramids, studied medicine, and mapped the stars. They used hieroglyphs, performed surgeries, and created a calendar still used today. Kingdom of Kush, Nubia, c. 2000 BCE to 350 CE, south of Egypt. These black pharaohs built more pyramids than Egypt and ruled with power and faith. Kingdom of Aksum, Ethiopia, c. 100 CE to 940 CE, a trading giant in East Africa. Aksum minted coins, built obelisks, and adopted Christianity before most of Europe. Ghana Empire, c. 300 to 1200 CE, the first great West African empire. It controlled the gold salt trade and impressed even Arab travelers with its riches. Mali Empire, 1235 to 1600 CE, enter Mansa Musa, the richest man in recorded history. On his 1324 pilgrimage, he gave away so much gold, it caused inflation in Egypt. Timbuktu, his capital, became the center of Islamic learning in Africa. Songhai Empire, c. 1464 to 1591, CE, bigger and stronger than Mali, ruled vast territories with organized armies, tax systems, and legal courts. Great Zimbabwe, c. 1100 to 1450, CE, massive stone cities built without mortar. Their architecture still confuses experts. They traded gold and ivory as far as China. Benin Kingdom, Nigeria, c. 1180 to 1897, CE, bronze artwork. Advanced city planning, walls that were 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China. Europeans wrote about its beauty long before colonization began. Africa wasn't isolated. It was globalized centuries before Europe rose to power. The Swahili coast traded with India, Persia, and China. Dhow ships sailed across the Indian Ocean carrying gold, ivory, and spices. Cities like Kilwa, Mombasa, and Sofala grew rich with international trade. In the north, the trans-Saharan trade routes connected West Africa to Morocco, Egypt, and Arabia. Gold, salt, books, leather, and fabrics were exchanged for centuries. Africa even minted its own currency before some European kingdoms had central banks. This wasn't a forgotten land. This was a superpower continent. Let's talk about intelligence. Africa wasn't just about spears and shields. At its peak in the 14th and 15th centuries, Timbuktu housed over 700,000 handwritten books. Subjects ranged from mathematics to medicine, astronomy to law. These weren't myths. These were real universities. Sankore University, built in the 1300s, was older than Harvard or Cambridge. And yes, Africa had writing. Gayas in Ethiopia, Tifinagh in North Africa, and Sibiti in southeastern Nigeria. Add to that the oral historians or griots who could recite family trees 20 generations deep. This was a continent of scholars. Africa's politics were as complex as Europe's. The Ashanti Empire had a full constitution and judicial systems. The Igbo people practiced participatory democracy through village assemblies. The Zulu Empire, under Shaka Zulu in the early 1800s, revolutionized military tactics. As for religion, Christianity entered Ethiopia around the 4th century. Islam spread through peaceful trade from the 7th century. And indigenous beliefs shaped culture, morals, and community for millennia. Africa didn't borrow faith, it evolved it. Then came the storm. In 1884, at the Berlin Conference, European powers divided Africa without African consent. Nations became lines on paper. Cultures were ignored. Languages erased, but Africa fought back. In 1896, Ethiopia crushed Italy at the Battle of Adwa, becoming the only African nation to fully defeat a European colonizer. The Ashanti resisted Britain for decades. The Zulu battled fiercely against the British and Dutch. The Mandinka Empire fought France for 15 years under Samurai Toure. Colonization didn't come peacefully. It came with resistance and blood. Let's break it down. They lied that Africa was primitive, but Africa had empires and laws. They lied that Africans were illiterates, but Timbuktu had libraries older than Europe. They lied that Africa had no religion but Christianity, and Islam can alongside native faiths. They lied that Europe civilized Africa, but Africa was already advanced. The truth is simple. Africa was never behind. It was ahead. They tried to erase this history, but we're bringing it back, louder than ever. If you believe Africa's truth deserves to go global, like this video, share it, and hit subscribe. Which African empire surprised you the most? Drop your answer in the comments. This is more than content. This is the truth.